Так, я снова включил чат. Пользуйтесь умом. Собирайте бабки на то, чтобы пользоваться им целую неделю и наслаждаться жизнью. Сегодня я сделал трек, довольно долго делал его, но получилось хорошо. Сначала получалось хуёво, потом получилось хорошо. Я заменил одно слово буквально. Это видео будет непристойно прикольно. Оно будет слишком талантливо, красивое.
the stars which would the post above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day.
Все, что я сейчас делаю, это генерирую видосики.
We glow up in relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, libelation. As lone cancer croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, a revelation. We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As lone concert croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust veils settle on an aged skittering heart. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, libelation. As lone cancer croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, a revelation.
Бля, чуваки, это такой триповый ролик получится, я вам клянусь. Я на фотографию смотрю, это пиздец. Это то, что вы никогда в жизни не увидели бы. Вау. Я просто придумываю какую-то сложную херню, и нейронка такая... Да. Нейронка не очень поняла, что надо. А превратила песок в снег. В воду, точнее. Не, это выглядит красиво. Сора лучше поняла меня. черту реалистичность. Нахуй ее. Мне нужна сказочность, мне нужна магичность, которая будет проявляться вообще во всем.
We glow up in relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, libelation. As lone canter crews, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, a revelation. We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As long comes a cruise, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust veils settle on an aged skittering heart. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light.
Мы отрицаем реальность. Реальность слишком скучна. Слишком неконцентрированно скучна. Нам нужен сок, нам нужен секс, нам нужен дизайн. Нам нужен свет во всех его ебанутых проявлениях. Северное сияние, радуга, закат, каустика от воды посреди зеленого песка. Все, что это мне нужно. И все в одном. Еще Гендальф наконец, сука, блять, скачет. Все вместе. Все сюда. Я обожаю нейронки. Это охуенно. Вот, блядь, вы посмотрите это видео и попробуйте поспорить с тем, что это охуенно. Вот кто вам, сука, такое сделает еще? Никто и никогда. И ни за какие, сука, деньги. Гендальф и тяжелые наркотики. Все. Он вас принял! Он сделал песок! Он сделал песок! Охуенно! Вот, то, что мне надо. Он сделал зеленый песок, по которому идут каустики. Заебись. Вау. Мы сейчас просто будем генерировать эти картинки до самого конца. У нас тут будут гендальфы, которые скачут на игле, нахуй. Эмеральд Грин. Каждый новый кадр генерации вообще охуенен. Я зря пытался нейронки пытаться объяснить это обычными словами. Надо, блять, промпты. Промпты охуенные. У нас тут есть инфракрасный свет в самых разных вариациях. Я доволен, ребят. Это незаконное использование генеративного контента в целях повышения трипа без наркотиков. А, я думаю, вообще так нереалистично конь бежит. А у меня 2,5. О, ну фул зацикленная? Охуенно. Нет. Но все равно хорошо.
offers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, live elation. As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which wore We glow up in relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, libelation. As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above
Бля.
arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by Kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As long comes a croon's boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust veils settle on an aged skittering heart. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, libelation. As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. chamber all glowed by Kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, a revelation. We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As lone counter croons, gloomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust veils settle on an aged skittering horde. We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, livelation. As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust veils settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by Kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, a revelation.
Я бы хотел выбрать что-то одно, но это просто нереально сделать. Поверьте. Все изображения охуенные. И одно охуение другого.
We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illuminations, offers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, live elation. As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by Kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of an relict radiance which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, a revelation. We glow of a relict radiance which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As long canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust veils settle on an aged skittering heart. We glow of an relict radiance which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, live elation. As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing We glow up in relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, libelation. As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by Kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, a revelation. We glow of a relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illuminations, a mistily shimmering light.
Знаете, я дошел до того момента, что мне уже лень.
As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust veils settle on an aged skittering heart. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As lone canter croons, boomy lighter, the lights.
Сейчас вы увидите во всей красе. То, о чем я вам говорил. Кажется, я испортил себе пломбу тем, что потянул воздух. Но они вроде от такого не должны портиться. Так. Окей. Перейди звук, он мне не нужен. Минута 45. У меня почти не будет повторяться, да?
We glow up in relics, radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, live elation. As lone canter crews, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation.
Так. Учитывая частоту повторений именно вот этого кадра, ну, он тут по-разному сгенерирован. Надо их разнести в разные места. Бля, их слишком много. Сгенерировать изображение. Сейчас нагенерим еще несколько вариантов с пузыречками. Это лучше. Почему именно Гендальф? Потому что песня про него, ебать. Вот и все. Ну, точнее, песня про котла, а Кутл слишком похож на Гендальф. Я не собираюсь объяснять нейросети, чем, блядь, отличается Кутл от Гендальфа. Надеюсь, что она меня поймет. Где ты ребят увидел? Они все с тобой сейчас в одной комнате? И один тот. И что, вспомнил, кстати, Стрига Бора из Ведьмака. Чтобы он поиграл в мультик, давайте задонатим ему по 100 рублей. Вот сначала вы, потому что я сделал первый шаг и постарался для всех нас. Понятно. Успешная мотивация. Сейчас посмотрим, сколько людей готово последовать твоему совету. Мне кажется, число стремится к нулю. Так. Вот с этого момента можно все, в принципе, делетить. Хотя, наверное, вот это вот не до конца долетаем. Может, там кусочек есть, который я не хотел бы, чтобы пропадал. Потому что тут концовочка такая еще.
We glow up and relax radiance, switch
Дед кайфует. Это дед инсайт. Так, надо придумать название этому треку. А. Так, ну ладно, тут есть вот. А где я им писал? Че я не помню. А, все, я понял. Знаете, я вдруг внезапно понял, что два человека, с которыми я общаюсь, прям так очень хорошо, по-дружески, имеют нити совершенно непонятно почему очень похожие, но при этом звучат они совершенно по-разному. Garden Chamber и Lightroom. По сути, садовая комната и освещенная комната. Хм, вот так вот. Нет, у нас будет first light.
We glow up in relics, radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, libelation. As lone cancer croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether, dust fell settle on an aged skittering heart. Above the stars which ward the post, above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. We glow of a relic's radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As long comes a croon's boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether, dust veils settle on an aged skittering heart.
Не, ну если этот ролик, блядь, будет набирать мало просмотров, я не знаю, что вам надо, нахуй. Вам, блядь, нахуй, не знаю. Ничего недостаточно. Тут столько интересных, красивых образов.
glow of an relict radiance, which hovers dimmered illumination,
Ну, это вторая вариация этого трека.
a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As lone counter croons, boomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether, dust veils settle on an aged skittering hall. switch ward that post above your powers of blazing verities. Above your newest arcane crusades and old make stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by Kundalini pulse. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow oven relic radiance, which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light revelation.
Бля, у меня есть более наркоманские превьюшки. Давайте используем их. Ночь уже прошла, блядь. Я так и не пойду. О, сегодня будет боевой кубок. Я хочу целиком посмотреть это. Блять. Камера вращается и видно, как поворачивается северное сияние. Охуенно. Очень магическое видео, я вам так скажу. Очень приятное на внешний вид. И музыка хорошая, приятная. Я охуенный. Просто чтобы вы знали. Сколько теперь длится плейлист? 3 часа 44 минуты.
Kill that, kill them, kill you, you. Killing that's what took a whole hunt, two, all day. I'm checking y'all new. Hunter's always been the best, true. Kill that, kill them, kill you, you. Killing that's what took a whole hunt, two, all day. I'm checking y'all new. Hunter's always been the best, true. Lose short, can you a clown like who? Go for blood, watch him flinch like a loose suit. Hide my face and vintage quick like boom. Clean the price, track it clean like boom. Before you weren't worth 3 coins, not special results. Stutter on your trail, tracker can't help you. Been there, shadow, they never did better. Through the frost, shadow, walk in cold weather. Still edge, makes them drift like a feather. Surface through the dust on my trail, asshole, get up. Drop it, sang the deny like I go hit it. Was in the low till I finally fed up. Look me in the sight and tell me, what do you see? Bristol, cold mind, you can't track what I kill that, kill them, kill you. Killing that, so cook a whole hunt, two, all day. I'm tracking y'all new. Hunter's always been the best, true. Kill that, kill them, kill you. Killing that, so took a whole hunt, two, all day. I'm tracking y'all new. Hunter's always been the best, true. All others, all dogs, watch us calibrate. When they feed the hating hunter, we dominate. Smoke gang, do it and buy. Desolate, more like a shadow rising, not the lake. Back I'm silent, till the ledger, close the slate. I mark every rival, loot the fallen, rob the living, then I toast the fake. Clear the camp clean, no footsteps to trace. I stack coin for kills, nothing personal, just business. Jones get slit, that's a consequence. Don't test my shadow, I hold no no mercy, no sense, nonsense, real scars. Every mark has evidence. School of the hunt, earn the scar. The Everence when edges plated heavy on the hip. Blades in the coat, I slip them in quick. Low life drifting with stage beauty tricks. Not a role model, nor some civic pick. Kill that, kill them, kill you. Killing asshole took a whole hunt, two all day. I'm tracking y'all new. Hunter's always been the best, true. Kill that, kill them, kill you. Killing asshole took a whole hunt, two all day. I'm tracking y'all new. Hunter's always been the best, true.
Да, на гостях Навального пытаться нормально, я считаю. Хуй с ним и его костями. Если вы хотели нассать на могилу Навального, и вам нужно было что-то разрешение, я один из тех людей, кто готов вам разрешить.
Всем здорово, дорогие мои дорогие подписчики. Здравствуйте. Сегодня мы начинаем с вами разбор подбородочной мерзости. Знаете, что такое превью, можно сказать. Здесь мы пытаемся немножко разобраться в этой самой мерзости. Помнишь, что там говорил яблоку? Знаете, это видео было разделено на несколько частей, это такое первое превью, можно сказать. Здесь мы пытаемся немножечко разобраться в этой самой подбородочной полсоморда, словами на нашу дейминг мрази. Мы просто безумно, да? Мне вот видео, кто человек, не было определенного жизненного реноме. Ну, я просто, блядь, апологируюсь. Я реально был уже состояние, но каждый раз, когда я возвращаюсь в свои жизненные моменты, все глубже и глубже ты понимаешь днище этой бездны. Кстати, Алексей, ты еще помнишь, что ты там говорил? И понимаете, это же на моде, оно работало, обзор был библовый тогда. Дело в том, что я запала все очень большой. По поводу коммунистической реляции. Вот теперь блин, музей, тупин, самый великий коммунист. Жена Костян, пересадчика, жука, и координацию как снова, компания денег, так, типа. Ну что видишь, что вождя из мавзолея? Заело маска, можешь пояснить? Вы коммунизм, бережно лелея, нечаянно натуру, правду дали покачить. Хотим спасти себя. О, вот, интернет, а нам надо нахуй не нужен. Салай же вождь, давай же нам ответы. Ты же ну, извини, когда. Ладно, кстати, Алексей, ты еще помнишь, что интересно, я сейчас говорю, если вы пропустили, что много я самостоятельно рекомендую посмотреть, как с муфами один не гей, вот этот вот самый не гей, вот этот самый маскулинный пуластый мужчина, которому уже не крашеную перегородную челку, зачем другой мужчина не по действии, совершенно некие перевести, пока это не вот знаете, это штука, которая полностью усталите. Вот допустим, если я не знаю, я народ, чтобы я не знаю, что я видео здесь обычно средства, ну, как бы потому что сейчас не я написал, я хотел гостям сам видео, я что-то не знаю, и вот я как вижу после честно не будет, то есть что ты народ ждали, что видео, и слава богу, что это. И сам интересно, что после всех я написал вам разговор показ. Для меня нет никакой сложности. Там нет таких моментов, что еще просто записано один ровно флоу за час. Я понимаете, а теперь, ну я, наверное, не должен считать, что у меня какая-то ничего не помню, читать. Но человек, то есть человек, который буквально как я, вот себя после создал целый сайт, что я, наверное, хуже, чем когда-нибудь создали углом подорожный раз. Но желательно, если это интересно, я не дискуссию, я не буду, а я советую, советую насчет наступления эпохи, ну так называемого постгранного общества. Там хорошо могу снова почитать ее, потому что это то, о чем я говорил, даже своим проявлением, даже своим проявлением. Здесь просто смело, в чем не ужасно. Здесь очень интересно, опять же, я рассказываю, не только просто по насчет гипаса, насчет каких-то просто не просто попался, не попался людей. Я знаю, старый блядь. Здесь момент, допустим, видео буквально год назад, было в марте, она сейчас, ну, как бы девайс приехал за свой концу. Я говорю, что человек, я говорю, что люди не верят, потому что я целый разделся на некоторые случаи, я как бы не что не знаете. Вот видео говорю, без контекста, без контекста, все, я слышу. Я буду на нем долго, я не бачу мозги ничего, и на самом деле здесь написано, получается, разделено через годы, на самом деле просто, ну, конечно, не знаю, текст такой, там, просто письма, какие-то, словами, я сам полгода я пишу, буквально, писал, написал, что нужно чтобы не было, делал интеллектуальную автологию, он пошел на часы, вот, изменить сложно. Но мне нравится опасность, где железо, где не знаю, железо или выше, нихуя. Мне нравится если бить, но не не ужать, не интеллектуально. Здесь я рассказал, что я наверное, что просто говорить, что я писал, написал показ, что я показывал, как мужчина, который не соблюдает диет, тогда я потом скажу, что здесь вы просто рассказать, если не увеличение, ровное увеличение. И знаете, так что меня еще как там так ну, понимаете, сейчас справку что-то, раньше что. Я могу сказать, что если мать не не надо как человек старший, потому что я это то, что, ну, самое главное, что я понимаю, самое главное, что я но я вижу воспитание, я думаю, отец, отец. Я вижу их разрешать мне делать на раз где нужно. Пока я я обещал, согласен, половину съемки жертв разобрать, сам человек непосредственно посередине. Вот, я что ему, знаешь, отдален, отсюда там на студию хорошо говорить, меня читать СБОР. Ты сам способен что-то написать. Разор Навального, ты не чужой, ты сейчас года, без много лет, представляете. Я записываю сам видео, разговор, я разговор, я понятно, что сам, не можешь решить, еще не тебе. Я работал, знаете, работал, Саша я глупо, не даже свой быт. Кстати, Алексей, ты еще помнишь, что я человек не менял, но здесь не знаю, у меня здесь я люди здесь живут, прекрасно смотреть, ты что смотреть, это правда, ты не можешь моему маршрут, а вот сидеть, победить, смотреть разговор на меня. Довольно смысл здесь смотреть. Вот, дело в том, что я считаю, я не я, товарищ Палина, что он говорит, что устраивает, играть, делать, ну, представляете, у вас у вас не ходит, сука, я здесь, ну, если смел, что не так, у меня объясни. Вот это я не видел, просто не напишешь, что вышло, после новой правильно, зачитать текст структуры, я который он разбирал, что мужчина, все люди действия, просто отвечать того, что он пьянствовал, блядь, сел не праздник, и жалобы опять на себя. Это хуй. Я просто начал сказать, без меня все, это хуй, все структуры, не можешь прочитать. Почему бы это так? Очень интересно. Когда умирает Симонян, мой муж, когда... Да, она Храните Россия, белорасы, храните, я его считаю, товарищи государства. Так вот, разные когда день потом ищите, когда произошло самое большое событие, что в Москву. Почему бы это так? Очень интересно. Когда умрет Симонян, мой муж, моя не знаю, я все любил, а я не знаю, да? То, что делает в Москве. А Навальный, который был, не знаю, 40 года, когда этот человек умер в боевых кочах, в колонии, далекой, за южной, за снежной северной, в лучшей своей собственной бюллетене, его доставлял куда-то в Москву, ему оказывали помощь. Мне интересно, что такое было место, самое распившееся власть. Разве? Что думает человек? Да он там тусил, блядь, умер в кочах боли, лучше собой, налил себя, до этого ничего. Факт, объективный факт. Он тоже жирный, собственно, Я могу говорить, что я думаю, что если не важно, что делать, допустим, вот, за то, что год назад, еще, собственно, в этом самом марте месяце, я рассказывал, нужно зайти в себе человечество.
Ну, такое о Трампе сказать было несложно, на самом деле. Ну, по-честному. Особенно, если ты следил хоть немного за политикой. И за президентством. За тем, что на предвыборных речах, блядь, Трамп говорит. Ну, кстати, очень часто замечал, когда ИРЛ с людьми гулял, что особенно, блядь, если это были бухарики, с которыми ты собрался бухать, что все их истории крутятся вокруг того, как они до этого бухали, напивались, им было хуёво. Или, может быть, случился какой-то забавный момент, где они лоханулись. И все. И больше нихуя. То есть вся их жизнь была про бухло. И типа... И они считали это интересным моментом. Типа, о, я был в говно, да, это было интересно. Блядь, я так нажрался, что пиздец. Прикиньте, чуваки. А мы сидим, блядь, ну, типа, пиво стоит, блядь, нахуй, еще что-то. Типа, жратва. Мы такие, ну, типа, да. Блядь. Вот в интернете, кажется, знаете, вот, когда не видишь этих людей ИРЛ, легко забыться, что все вокруг умные, все такие, блядь, исключительные, уникальные. Он тебе, блядь, просто Википедию пересказывает. Он только что, блядь, прогуглил эту хуйню. Он сам вообще нихуя не имеет за своей душой. Ничего, блядь, из себя не представляет. Просто вот нихуя. Просто пустота ебаная. Я по соседству с таким человеком живу. Кто-то как-то удивился, блядь, что я с ним не разговаривал, блядь, годами. А о чем с ним разговаривать? О том, как он бухал? О том, как ему кирпичом по голове уебали? Зачем? Вот просто нахуя? Так, сейчас я кружку отнесу на кухню, чтобы мать могла мне сделать чай. Блять! Я же переступил эту хуйню. Они так сломаются. Еще и, сука, я остановился вовремя, блядь, они все равно слетели. Вот хуйта, блядь, а. 1003 скинь.
на самом деле, делать, по сути, тебе вообще даже на самом деле, что человек, это максимально задача. На самом деле, можно назвать что-то. То есть, один оператор, одна организация, один человек, задача, чтобы задача ничего надо менять. Как бы общий стоит крупный, как бы есть крупный, средний, высокий, есть высокий, сделать вообще никто не будет делать с но здесь мало, просто выставили, чтобы сделать. На какой хуй, на каждый камень, на двух, если понятно, вспомни, напомни, это момент, где хочешь погулялся, менять, хочешь, держал больше, на самом деле, нахуй, на, это прибыль. И на случае, что хочешь, что я что-то уверен, где высокий, то есть, это лишняя когда ничего не будет. Например, что это можешь, можно найти языка, совсем его уровня, потому что, например, у меня список, у каждого из них, если ты у каждого из них, а что с ними связано, у каждого из них, у каждого из них, самого процесс, и это есть слушай, как хорошо будет. В данном случае, мы имеем целого языка, мы имеем оператора, или ограниченный оператор, нам нужно сам как бы связь с нами. Мало того, что мы еще и находим, то есть, и судя по всему, он нам занимается процессом монтажа, как бы нужно, потому что изгоняет, делает сам, и он дает сам монтаж. Ты знаешь, что в данном случае у каждого из операторов, мы не можем есть слуха, научить, или что он дает, например, делать зал, сделать крупнее, там аналитика реально количество больше. Для этого нужно что, если первый он дает операторам наказ, что он должен делать. В данном случае, если оператор нам нужен, он ничего не дает, зачем выставлены. Они сами будут делать, что надо нужно там может быть крупнее, может быть работа. А на начале не просто дать, не просто дать, смотрел фотографии, и перед другая не дать делать, если заслуги его, процент не заходит.
Сейчас, погоди. Чаек пришел.
Который вообще не использует. Записать регулярно, потому что я на самом деле просто то есть это очень нужно. 50% людей нам нужно. Понимаете? Вы говорите, техника, сайт, вы говорите, людей, оно надо, не надо. Это взять из-за второй бюджет, снять какой-нибудь фильм, а как сайт лежит, есть для услуги, я вообще ничего не знаю, но это не надо. Это съемка того не стоит в финансовом плане. И понятно, какой человек, который понимает, что платить видеосъемку не надо,
Кстати, Алексей, ты еще помнишь, что ты там говорил? Вторая часть по своему часов великолепие несколько забрал. Прямо сейчас лежит на пустяке прошлого эксклюзивного контента. Блин, вот это на самом деле самый главный мерка, который сейчас я буду работать, я уже буду. И знаете, когда я свою на самом деле не но я такой я снял видео, который у меня его запись я записал, но есть более цикл, даже что я снял из самого гаража. 26 год, не месяц. Ну я понимаете, что здесь написано. Не он смотрел. Дальше смотрите, еще ради видео, и извините, я разобрал его. Это абсолютно не видео, что видео, класс, кстати. Это первое видео, которое вообще немножко вперед, и я принципе, я всегда пойду ничего, я покажу жизнь, конечно. Но я очень много разу, не хватает, извините, не хватает, извините, я все окей, я вижу. Я пошел по несколько гаражей, просто короче, это самый гараж, мы уже говорили. Прекрасно, я вот надо делать за плюс. Вот мы сказали, ну что, жена не еврей, что сейчас остальное. Конечно, появился еврей. Никакого знания, никакого знания. Ты знаешь, еврей, социальный оппозиционер, какая замка, какая зрелищная семья, национальность. Ты еврей, поэтому не встречу. Нет, все не и я уже не вижу, я не видел. Блядь, сами просто давай, я ничего не встречу, не встречу. Пиздец.
Вау.
Try this British Diet Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper's zero sugar. It's probably their newer formulation. There's also Dr. Pepper. It's zero sugar. Wow. No, I think this is different than Diet Dr. Pepper in the United States. Do you think? I think that it's a more modern formula. It's more syrupy. That was what they couldn't quite crack in the 80s. How do you make a sugar-free drink taste like it's got that sugar thickness?
And how's that do?
That's got it.
Yeah. Are you sure it's not to do with the glass? You know how drinks taste different depending on what they're coming
Yeah,
out?
yeah.
Do you know why that is?
I think it's probably a lot of things. Not just the container, but how much carbonation they can put in, how much of the syrup they can put in based on different technologies, whether it's a can or a bottle. A fountain drink is very different. It can be a lot more fizzy, but you can also crank the syrup up more than the manufacturer recommends. But the recommended amount is what's in the canned and bottled versions.
Oh, really? I wonder how far away you have to get from that for it to no longer count as Dr. Pepper anymore.
I do wonder legally what
They
you
got to
do
do something, yeah.
because you bought the bag, you bought the syrup. How much you mix in with the carbonated water should be up to you. It's up to the consumer as well. Because you've seen in a fountain, the beverages come out and you got like a dark band and a light band.
Yeah.
And that's both of them mixing. They mix more in the cup, but if you push your cup on that machine and then scoop to the side, so the lighter beam just falls and is drained away, you're mainly getting syrup. You get like super heavy soft drinks.
Yeah.
But you're putting a label on it. You're saying this is Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
So if you on the back end crank up that syrup level above where Dr. Pepper would like to be,
Exactly right.
could you get in trouble?
But who do you get in trouble with? Would you get in trouble with the consumer who's expecting Dr. Pepper, or with Dr. Pepper who sold you a product that you have to sell in a particular way? You know?
Well, I mean, it depends how you find trouble.
Yeah.
Like the consumer might say, oh, this is too thick.
Yeah.
But you could actually be liable monetarily to the Dr. Pepper bottling company.
Yeah, because if you're just like selling the wrong thing, I mean, it's not Dr. Pepper, and it's being sold as Dr. Pepper, then presumably you can sue for your money back. But what counts?
Right, yeah, customer could say, I want my money back.
Yeah.
This machine isn't working.
Yeah, then I wonder if somebody who drunk a bunch of bottled Dr. Pepper could just have normal draft Dr. Pepper and go, this doesn't taste the same. I want my money back too.
Yeah, this is neurology. This is Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
This recipe has changed a bunch over its history.
Yep.
In order to the point where
Я только сейчас понял, что доктор Пеппер переводится как доктор Перчик. Вот и все. Но ничего перченого там нет, верно? Перец, доктор Перец.
where I fell down this rabbit hole for a while trying to figure out how to make Coca-Cola flavor.
Right.
What is that secret recipe? Is it nutmeg and vanilla and toasted orange, or what is it? And I realized it's none of those. It is a concoction of laboratory byproduct chemicals with names like oxyphenylene 7, and it happens to have like a cherry note when consumed by a human. But it's not cherries. It's not even based on cherries. It's just something that was found, and that's their secret. You can use equipment to analyze what the chemical components of something are. And if you put in Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper, you don't get like the computers and spit out, oh, it's got fresh cherries in it. Even a cherry won't register as containing cherry, because cherry is a word we give to a incredibly complex suite of chemicals.
Yeah, I suppose ultimately those chemicals are themselves made up of small things, such that if you had a truly accurate ingredient list for Coca-Cola, it would just sort of say quarks, electrons, mass.
That's right. Yeah, I saw a meme once that was like, okay, here's what's in apple fruit snacks, and the ingredient list has a million things with hard to pronounce names, but here's what's in an apple. Ingredients, apple.
Yeah.
And then of course the retort was, okay, actually here's what's in an apple.
Yeah.
It's like iron 3, and there's all these chemicals that make up the very complex organic structure that is an apple. And then there was a third revision of the meme where someone just had fruit snacks and an apple, and underneath it they just had all the subatomic particles in the standard model. And that's it, they're the same.
Who was it that said if you want to make a sandwich, you start with the universe?
Yeah, yeah, Carl Sagan. Like if you want to bake an apple pie from scratch, first you must invent the universe.
Yeah.
Я согласен с этой цитатой.
If you want to bake
With the universe.
yeah, yeah, Carl. Carl Sagan. Like if you want to bake an apple pie from scratch, first you must invent the universe.
Yeah, somebody tried to do this once. I forget who it was, but as like a project, they tried to make a sandwich from scratch, by which they mean like, growing the bread, like rearing a pig to get the bacon for the and doing everything necessary. And I want to say it cost like $15,000 and took about 2 years or something, right? Yeah. And so I suppose the question's being driven at here, it's a good way in actually, is kind of when does something count as a part of something else? Like how far do we have to dig down into something's parts before we're satisfied to say we know what makes it up? Like if you've got a table, I can say what's the table made out of? It's made out of surface and its legs. And you could then say, what are the legs made out of? They're made out of wood. What's
Блять, они цитируют меня, что ли? Нет, это было 2 месяца назад.
Once again, I find myself in a rather peculiar situation. I'm on the woods.
Да, они меня цитируют. Блять. Они меня цитируют. Охуеть. Ебанись. Они реально меня цитируют. Они прошли этот комментарий. Они цитируют меня, как я цитировал Карла Сагана. Блять, это самое странное дерьмо. Прикиньте, смотрите какой-то рандомный английский видос. где обсуждают рандомный английский видос, который вы рандомно прокомментировали английской цитатой одного известного английского мужика. И вспомнили это только потому, что вы это написали. Именно в контексте вот этого. Больше не в контексте чего. Он не читал книгу, он не слышал, нет. Бля, это странно.
You know, like if you something's parts before part of something else, actually, it's kind of when does something count driven? Yeah, and I want to say it costs like 50. So growing the bread, like rearing, but as like a project, they tried to make a sandwich.
Want to bake an apple pie from scratch. First, you must invent the universe.
Yeah,
You want to bake an apple pie from scratch. First, you must invent the universe.
yeah. Somebody tried to do this once. I forget who it was, but as it's like a project, they tried to make a sandwich. From scratch, by which they mean like, you know, growing the bread, like rearing a pig to get the bacon for the meal and doing everything necessary. And I want to say it costs like $15,000 and took about 2 years or something, right? Yeah. And so I suppose the question's being driven at here, and it's a good way in actually, it's kind of when does something count as a part of something else? Like how far do we have to dig down into something's parts before we're satisfied to say we know what makes it up?
You know, like if you've got a table, I can say what's the table made out of? It's made out of surface and its legs. And you could then say, but what's the legs made out of? Made out of wood. What's wood made out of? And you can kind of keep on going. But it seems like that's a bit of an illegitimate approach. If I was asking you what this table's made out of, and you told me it's made out of electrons, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would just say there's no table there. There's a bunch of stuff, and it's tabling right now.
Yeah.
And it can table in a lot of different ways. I can remove one of its legs, and it's still tabling pretty well.
Yeah.
There's some things it's doing that are atypical for a table, like missing one of its legs. But once you start asking about what the table as a noun is made out of, you're overcounting the universe. You're saying, well, there's all this stuff, and then there's also what they make up. So there's all that stuff plus one extra thing. Their combined nounhood.
Yeah.
I say we just reject that when we're being technical. Obviously, I don't walk around going, oh man, I'm tired. My friend's like, oh, sit down in that chair, and I'm like, what's that? There are no chairs. But the only way to avoid a lot of these clever little funny paradoxes, like the ship of Theseus, the Sorius paradox, you have to admit that, look, it's a fiction. We've cut the world up, and we've added names of our own invention.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the solution is staring us in the face here. Like you take something like the ship of Theseus. I read recently, I don't know if this is true, but I read online that apparently the Wikipedia page for the ship.
Знаете, вот когда я говорю, что кто-то пизданул про меня что-то в интернете, я это найду. Эта фраза имеет куда как больше смысла теперь. Потому что пиздануть вы можете теперь на сразу нескольких языках.
Theseus has had some, 2,000-3,000 edits over history, and that there's no single sentence on the Wikipedia page for the ship of Theseus that was in the original Wikipedia entry for the ship of Theseus, which is quite a nice touch.
Yeah, it's a nice touch. And it's a great way to show what's really going on. Because if you said, well, the ship of Theseus article today isn't the same as the one in 2007, I'd be like, of course it's not. We know it's not. It has a different name. Yeah. Because the page has an actual revision name with a timestamp and everything.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a boat, it feels more like, well, boats can't just change. So you see that the identity of something really depends on the context.
Yeah.
From a really far away perspective, it's the same. It's the Wikipedia page for the ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
But you zoom in closer and you go, well, is that the same boat? Well, it's the boat that has been continuously registered to Michael Stevens. But if you're asking me where's the original material the boat was made out of, that could be somewhere else.
Yeah, and it seems like the only non-arbitrary way to answer a question like, well, which is the ship of Theseus? Is it the original plank that you've reconstructed, or is it the one you end up with the daughter revisions? The only non-arbitrary answer to that is that there is no such thing as the ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
There's just matter that gets arranged in a particular way, and we put labels on it. In other words, it's whichever one you want.
Yeah, so it's much more legitimate to ask, where is the stuff currently being labeled the ship of Theseus?
Yes.
Or where is the stuff that once was?
Yeah, exactly.
And the ship of Theseus.
And that's when you have to get a bit technical and say, well, what do you mean? You say, which is the ship of Theseus? Because if you mean the matter that made up the ship of Theseus, well, those will be subatomic particles that are probably all over the universe by now. They're sort of spread out all over the place. But I think that's functionally what you're interested in right now, because you want to go to sea.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, if the captain comes in and says, where's the ship of Theseus? You say, over there, sir, here's your steering wheel, or whatever they call them boats. Whereas if, Zeno walked in and said, where's the ship of Theseus? You say, it's nowhere, and everywhere it is.
Pseudo question.
Depends on context, right? And the same thing asking what's a table. When you made a video called Where's the Chair? Well, two chairs exist, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those sort of classic Vsauce titles, right? It's sort of like, who even knows what that question could be?
Why would you ask?
But this is the kind of thing you're getting at, right? And this is used in mereology, the study of parts, how parts relate to wholes. Are you then a mereological? Nihilist in thinking that there are no real material objects, there's just stuff that we arrange.
If that's what that means, then yes. I don't remember all the isms and ists that exist in ontology, but I believe that there is stuff. But I don't believe that there are any nouns besides the vague noun stuff.
Interesting. So stuff for you is like, whatever's actually there. There's just stuff like matter, particles, that kind of stuff. And when you put that together in an arrangement, like this chair, onto this table, there's not actually some new thing called a table or a chair. It's just essentially a label that we're putting on
Stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff does not mean matter. Because there are ways to put stuff together to make antimatter. There's a way to put stuff together to make a dream.
Yeah, right.
That does sound like some kind of nihilism, doesn't it? So maybe it is mereological nihilism. I really like, I forget the guy's name, big author in the field, who, I think his whole thing, he called it organicism.
P. Van Morgan.
Yes, okay. So his whole thing was that, and I could not put my finger on why he believed this. I read his book over and over again. He was like, yeah, definitely, there's only stuff, except if it's alive, then it's a brand new thing. And it almost felt like,
it just seemed like living things were a bit magical.
Yeah,
But you couldn't really define when life began or not. Is a tornado alive?
Yeah.
It's always exchanging matter with its surroundings, and it's moving, but it also maintains its shape. A whirlpool is an even better example. It maintains its position and shape, but it's made of something different every second. But it's not alive. What about a flame?
Yeah.
Is a flame alive? And I think he came to a point where he was like, I don't know, but whatever counts as alive is a thing.
Yeah.
Above and beyond the stuff that it's made out of. And the reason I like that is that it can be summed up so hilariously as the belief that people exist, but they don't wear clothes.
yeah, because clothes just being a material object and not actually existing things. They're just matter or stuff arranged clothes-wise is the language that people use.
Yeah.
To break this down for a moment, because we're sort of in the deep end here a little bit, like, there is this question of, if a table is made up of its top and its legs, why do we consider those put together as one object, but this glass of water that's on top of the table we consider a separate object? Well, maybe I can lift it up like that. Yeah, but
Next Kero, привет. Так, ставим таймер на 5 минут.
I could, unscrew the legs and lift it off as well. And you get the example of a bikini in your video. That's one thing. But they don't touch each other. And is it like, if I put the top half of a bikini in a car and then it sort of start driving away, is there a point at which it's far enough away that we can't meaningfully say it's one bikini anymore? Seems like it's kind of just up to us.
Yeah, it is. It's art. It's not a science.
Yeah, right. The favorite way of explaining that idea is to say, does the left-hand side of the table exist?
Yeah, right.
Because yes, it does. But clearly its distinction as a thing is dependent on our minds.
And where you're standing. Exactly. The left side to me is different than what you would call the left side.
Yeah.
And yeah, the bikini is a really fun example to think about because one thing that ties the two parts of a bikini together is that they match.
Right.
But they don't have to.
Yeah,
you can wear a different mismatched bottom and top. However, I still think like the folk philosophy, the folk philosopher would say, well, that's not the same bikini. You've taken two different bikini parts and put them together. So then all it takes is for a fashion designer to design a bikini that doesn't match. There is no missing half, two missing halves somewhere. That's just it. That's how it's sold. Now it is one bikini. And in order for it to be one bikini, we're having to rely on the intentions of an artist. And that's what this all comes down to. It's just what's the context and what's relevant and who's asking.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask, like, if you had two bikinis and you took the top half of one and the bottom half of the other, and you wore that, how many bikinis are you wearing? I guess you want to say, I'm kind of wearing two halves. So maybe I'm wearing one in total. But it's not the same thing as wearing
Right, in
one
that
bikini.
case, 1 half plus 1 half doesn't equal 1.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, right? It's weird to think about. But okay, here's my suggestion, right? So Peter Van Inwagen says there's something about life that seems special. And if we try to define what life is, we might say that, like, it seems to be made up of stuff which, like, acts towards an end. Like, all of the parts of my body, broadly speaking, are involved in, keeping me alive and causing me to promulgate genes. All the parts of a tree seem to tend towards its preservation. A table kind of only does that artificially. It's not naturally, right? Like, I have made it so that this leg and this table sort of all move towards the end, holding up a glass. And so the table only exists as an artificial version of this. But where that exists in nature, the parts that act towards a unified end, that's what gives us means to say that it's one thing, something like that, maybe.
Sure, okay, I'm following that, but I don't agree because you still need to figure out where you draw the line.
Yeah.
Does a crystal have an end? Like if you break the crystal and put it in the right solute, it forms again. Is it alive?
Yeah.
A plumb bob always hangs down.
Yeah.
It's always pointing down. It has a purpose. I just don't think we should use an ideological approach to define a thing because what its purpose is depends on who's using it. A beautiful silver knife from some antique piece. Its purpose is to be beautiful. It's maybe not to eat with. No, you can't eat with it. That's too special. But if I'm in an emergency situation, I'm locked in a burning room, I can't get the door open. It's okay to open the door is what it is. That's its purpose right now.
Yeah, it does seem to me that the way we define objects is functionally. This is a table because of what it does for us, and that is kind of how we tend to navigate the world. And that might be why, despite the fact that in reality we just got a bunch of input data, there's lights and sounds and all kinds of vibrations in the air that are also coming to my brain. Why is it that my brain did these things up? Why is it that my brain sees this as a cup and this is a table and you as a person and this is a mic stand? Maybe it's because it's a function. We can use it. We can do stuff with it. It helps us to survive. And that's the reason why we divvy things up.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm not convinced that's the right answer, the correct answer, but I think that I'm going to always be biased towards, well, it's just natural selection.
Yeah.
There's a survival benefit to not going around saying, look at all this stuff. It's important. And it's way more easy for us to just nounify all properties that are relevant to us and say, look, it's just a chair. That's so much easier. And when someone goes, well, is a horse a chair? You can sit on it. It's got 4 legs. They go, look, dude. We call it a horse instead of chair for a reason because we've packed up an enormous amount of meaning in this one word.
Yeah.
Where by meaning, I mean everything that we're not saying. When I say horse, I'm not saying a living organism that evolved on Earth that eats this and that kind of diet with this kind of physiology. I'm just saying the word horse, and yet you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's what we evolved to do. That's our niche. Like we don't have big claws and we don't have a hump on our back to store a lot of fat. The thing that we do is we create meaning and we share that meaning. It allows us to collaborate. It allows us to use our minds to survive. And it's been quite successful. Humans can live anywhere on Earth, but a parrot can't.
We'll get back to Michael in just a moment, but first, if you've been watching the show for a while, you'll know that for some time now I've been recommending a service for synthesizing news media and getting around the problem of bias. We can of course navigate this in supporting the accelerate, porting, read, send off their unlimited access advantage plan. And that said, back to Michael. It does make me think about how much philosophers are just kind of overcomplicating. I mean, I don't know which discipline you consider yourself most aligned with. You've just launched a new show, The Rest is Science. Congratulations, by the way. It's extremely exciting. We'll do a whole episode on talking about chairs and meteorology and that kind of stuff. But like, a lot of what we're talking about here seems to sort of land us in the realm of philosophy. And a lot of the time you have scientists who come along and say that, atoms behave in this way and laws of physics are this way, and the philosopher comes along and says, have you thought about technically, couldn't this be this and couldn't that be that? And you kind of just want to say, look, mate, go and do that on your own in a room if you're interested, but it's not very functional here. Do you think that's going on a lot of the time with these kinds of questions? Are we just sort of sitting around doing something totally useless and getting in the way of functional behavior?
Yeah, well, that's the point. It's supposed to get in the way. Like a philosopher's job is to not find answers, but to find questions. And sometimes it is so stupid. It's so irrelevant to anything. But they gotta keep doing it because we need more questions. We actually need answers less than we think. And so the philosopher is a professional question asker. But yeah, that does mean that you don't need much to do philosophy. I'm reminded of this joke. See if I can tell it where okay, yeah, right. So the dean of the university is speaking to the head of the engineering department. And he says, look, we got to talk about how much your department spends. Your budget is way too high. Like, why can't you be more like the math department? All they need are pencils, paper, and waste paper baskets. Actually, no. Why can't you be like the philosophy department? All they need are pencils and paper. It's like, it's a bad idea. It's all fine. It's all philosophy. But that's its job.
Yeah. One of the perhaps competitors for least helpful contributions in the history of philosophy might be this idea about mereology, which you also discussed in that video, which is known as mereological universalism. It's like the opposite of the nihilistic approach. Because some people look at this problem and they go like, yeah, I mean, I do want to say that when I put a leg and a table together, I get a new object called table. Yeah, when I put a bowl on a stand, I get a new thing called a lamp. And someone says, well, why isn't the table in this cup also an object? Yeah. And they go, yeah, I guess it is. Okay, so why isn't this table and the minute hand of Big Ben on the southern face a new object? And they go, it is. And so you get this position that every single possible arrangement of objects is its own new object, its own new thing. And when I'm sat in a philosophy classroom and I hear somebody talking about a view like that, I do start to wonder if, even if the cost really is just pencils and paper, if we're sort of wasting our time a little bit.
Well, I certainly don't think so because I find it really, really fun.
Yeah.
And as a member of a species whose niche is finding meaning, it can be found for its own sake. That said, I think that there's a therapeutic benefit to mereology, to asking, but like, what are you? Are you the sum of your parts? Are you the culmination of your past? Or are you something else? You can almost be whatever you become. I
I don't think it's necessarily helpful to explain whether a spoon exists or not, but a person, how many of me have there been? Is there just this one that's changing, or is every moment a new me? I don't know, but sometimes I choose one or the other to understand myself. Yeah, because there's a sense in which, if you were speaking to like a medical doctor, you might say, that 5-year-old who existed all those years ago, that's the same person as me. As if to say, oh yeah, I've had a chronic illness, and yeah, when I was 10. And so, am I the same person I was when I was 10? Yeah, of course I would. But there's another context in which, in terms of who you are as a person, morally, in your relationships with people, you might want to say, I'm a completely different person to who I was when I was 10. Most people sort of have to pick one or the other. So what do you really think is the truth of the matter? Are you or are you not the same person you were when you were 10? Are you saying that you kind of just choose which answer to give depending on the context? Yeah, just depending on what makes me feel better. Yeah. That's what we do. Yeah. You know, that, and maybe there will come a day where, let's imagine that we answer this question. We figure out exactly what defines composition, we find exactly what things are and aren't, and what a person is and what consciousness is. At that point, we cease to be humans. We're some new species that has those answers and doesn't live in the void of not knowing them. Do you have like a hunch about, I mean, the question of personal identity 3 times is a big one. But say like right now, right? Like, a sort of classic thought in philosophy might be that if I was to cut off your head, you might be in pain, but I'm sure we can manage.
Чатик закрывается, ребят.
Similarly, it feels like I could sort of just get rid of the lower half of your body. It feels like I could shave off your beard, and then well, maybe you wouldn't be you in an important sense. But in a literal sense, you would be. So maybe it's something to do with the brain. But then again, as you pointed out as well, you can sort of cut a brain in half, and then you still sort of get a conscious agent. Like, do you have a hunch as to what you are? Yeah, we're talking about maximal amputation. How amputated can I be and still be me? At what point do you cut away a brain cell and it's like, oh crap, he's gone? Well, my favorite way to approach it is to do like folk philosophy. Just what would a person say? Look at how we talk about these things. Because in a way, we actually have solved them. We just don't know that we have. Or I shouldn't say solved. We have found a way to cope with that question. Because if I'm trying to think where to begin. I'll just say this: if you're like asleep in the other room and someone says, "Hey, where is he?" I'm like, "Who's in there?" Okay, but you're not consciously aware while you're asleep. But if you die, you're gone. You left us. You passed. But being asleep and being dead are kind of similar in some ways. In terms of like, hey, is he like listening to us right now? Is he like capable of doing things? The sleep and death thing encourages me to believe that it's not so much about a set of properties, it's about a set of...
Какого хуя? Я смотрел этот видос и забыл.
set of potentialities. When you're asleep, you can still do some stuff later, but when you're dead, you can't. And that, I think, deep inside us is why we think of death as being you being gone. I was reading some surveys from doctors about like when does a family accept that they have lost a loved one, and it's not when brain damage occurs; it's when the heart stops. And I thought is that just an old traditional kind of belief that well, the heart is life and the brain is just like cools the blood. I don't know if anyone from Aristotle time is still around, but what I'm saying is, deep inside of us, we think of the heart as being once the heart's gone, it's over. What do you mean the brain death? Well, then, you know, there's still alive people alive with feeding tubes and stuff. Yeah. I think that it comes back to the fact that your brain can change significantly. You can have brain damage and never walk again, but you're still you. But if your heart stops, there's no potential for you to do anything again, even in a different way, like you would if you lost part of your brain. Yeah. I mean, like losing memory seems like a really important example here. Like somebody who can't remember what happened to them yesterday or 5 minutes ago. There's this guy called Clive something who has a 7-second memory. He was an orchestral conductor and he had some kind of medical thing. It wasn't an accident. It was like a virus or something. Caused him to lose his memory every 7 seconds. Right. And so you'd sit down with him and you'd say, you know, what's going on? How are you doing? He'd be like, you're the first person I've seen in 30 years. Yeah. And he kept a diary where every day he wrote, I'm alive for the first time. And he'd cross it out. No, now I'm alive. That wasn't real. And he would tick off the correct ones and then he'd go back through and cross off the... And there is a sense in which you want to say, even without that psychological continuity, if you take out that part of the brain entirely, there's still a person who's unified across that time. And others would think of it as being a continuous person. Like you kept calling him he, them or they, and you also named him Clive. Like he's got a name, a single name. So that's why I kind of just lean on your identity is linked to everything that you could do. And after all, that is what leaves when you die. When you die, you will never do anything that you could have done but didn't. You know, a really interesting question to me, which I think I have not thoroughly explored enough, is the link between these two things. Mereology, we were talking about before, and then this question of personhood, and whether you can have a sort of similar philosophy of both. I mean, we said, like, there isn't really this thing called a table, we just sort of decide when to call it a table, and how much of it we have to take away until it's no longer a table. We're doing the same kind of thing with people. Like, you kind of just got, you can take away this, and you can take away that, and whether they're alive or dead or still the same person, kind of just depends on your context and function. Yeah, right. Like, there's the whole, like, would you love me if I was a worm? That question is actually pretty deep. Well, what do you mean to me if you were a worm? And I think that the average person means if my conscious experience was inside the body of a worm, they just mean my body changed. Because they don't think of the body as being them. They can lose an arm, they can gain
Нет, это та же самая беседа, блядь, с другим человеком.
weight or lose weight, and they're still them. They can be a worm and it's still them. The thing that isn't changing is the internal world. So that's why I think that's one of the best ways to define what consciousness is when we get
Он же с женщиной разговаривал, а ровно об этом же.
into a discussion. And a lot of times people are talking past each other. Some are talking about awareness, some are talking about interiority. I just say, look, consciousness is the thing that doesn't change for Phil in Groundhog's Day. Every morning he wakes up and everything's changed back to the way it was on 6 a.m. Groundhog's Day. But he remembers that thing that's not changing. His wounds go away. But the thing inside, that's what we're trying to get at when we're talking about if you were a worm, what part of the worm is you? It's that stuff. It's that mental interiority.
I have a question then, right? Like, if we can conceive of my consciousness inside of a worm, a lot of people who are like materialists about the world think that consciousness is just this thing that the brain does. That conscious experience is just the same thing as brain activity. If that were the case, then surely in order to put your consciousness into a worm, you need to literally take your sort of big human brain and put it inside of a worm. If we can imagine taking your consciousness and fitting it inside of a worm, like taking it out of your brain and putting it into the worm brain, does that tell us that at least the way we're thinking about it conceptually, that consciousness is not tied to the brain in that materialistic way? Or would it be that in order to have a worm with your consciousness, you need a worm with Martin's brain literally inside of it?
I don't know. I mean, I believe but cannot prove that it could be my consciousness could be replicated in a computer or with some much more space efficient system that could fit inside of a worm. But when I say my consciousness, I kind of just mean a thing that believes it is alive, believes it has conscious will, and also thinks that it is the continuation of my experiences.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could like build a machine that would just suddenly copy my brain and put it into this little special worm brain so that I like, basically died. And this worm went, oh my gosh, I don't have any arms. I'm Michael though.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Is there like a soul of mine that continues on and is like, I'm dead. The thing in the worm is an imposter. I don't know. We'll have to just do that experiment.
Well, here's a question, just to get an idea of your intuition here. Suppose that there's you and there's like your greatest enemy. I don't know who that is. They shall remain nameless. But you need to want bad stuff to happen to them, and you want good stuff to happen to you. And I'm some sort of evil, crazy doctor, and I say, here's what I'm going to do, Michael. I'm going to put you into an operation. I'm going to put you on a table, and you're going to go unconscious. I'm going to take all your memories, all your conscious experience, and I'm going to move it over to his brain. And I'm going to take all his, and I'm going to move it over to yours. So when you wake up, you'll wake up with all of his memories. You look down at your hands and you go, gosh, 5 minutes ago I remember being him, and vice versa. And before I do this operation, I'm going to tell you that one of these after the operation I'm going to torture. Who do you want me to torture?
Not the body I'm inhabiting.
So you want me to torture the other guy's body because he'll wake up with your memories?
Hold on, wait.
He'll wake up. He'll wake up.
When does the torture happen?
Afterwards. After the switch.
Right.
So what I've swapped is all of the memories and all of the sort of continuous experience.
Yeah.
None of the physical matter.
Right.
Just literally sort of as if I go into this computer and tap and get rid of your memories and put his memories into you.
Yeah.
Who do you want me to torture?
I want you to torture my body containing his experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because now, if everything about you physically stays the same, everything physical that makes you up stays the same, and yet you say, well, I'd rather this physical self be tortured because I'm going to be over there.
Yeah.
Does that give us an argument for like the immateriality of the mind or the self? Because all of the material is still the same, but you are not identifying yourself with it anymore. You know?
Yeah, it makes me really question things like the emotion of revenge. Because if you made a clone of my worst enemy, and then you said, well, you can torture the clone we just made, it wouldn't give me the same pleasure.
Even if I had all the same memories and everything. Really?
Yeah. And it's hard to pinpoint why. But it makes me question why would I even enjoy torturing my worst enemy if they hadn't been cloned? Because they also change over time. In 1 second, they will be a clone of who they were a second ago. But I get more pleasure out of their suffering than like, hey, we made 1,000 clones of them that all think that they're the real one. You can pick one to beat up. I'd be like, that just doesn't feel fun anymore.
Yeah, anymore. Yeah.
It's like maybe it's because all the other clones are not getting the punishment that they deserve.
Yeah, that would be an interesting scenario. But I know what you mean. Like, it doesn't feel satisfying. I just came up with some video doing where someone suggested something like, making
The real one, you can pick one to beat. Hey, we made 1,000 clones of them that all think that they're the real one. You can pick one to beat up. I'd be like, that just doesn't feel fun anymore.
Yeah, anymore. Yeah.
It's like maybe it's because all the other clones are not getting the punishment that they deserve.
Yeah, that would be an interesting scenario. But I know what you mean. Like, it doesn't feel satisfying. I just came up with some video doing where someone suggested something like, making a perfect clone of Hitler and sort of punishing him for World War II, and whether that would satisfy our sense of justice. Would we feel justice had been done because we've got this figure who wakes up and goes, yeah, it's me. I remember doing that. Yeah, this was me. I did it last week, and we punished him for it. Would we be satisfied?
So it wouldn't feel very satisfying.
Yeah.
But it should in a way because that person who's being punished thinks that they really are Hitler.
Yeah, right.
So someone who did what he did is experiencing the consequences, and yet it doesn't change what happened. So you're missing that piece.
Yeah. So also there's a reverse question here. If we want to say, well, he didn't do it, but as long as he thinks he did it, that's a good reason to punish him. Does that mean that if someone does commit a crime and then they forget about it and they genuinely don't think that they did it, do we now not punish them? Because the thing that matters is that whether or not they think they did it.
Yeah, I know.
So we could just wipe your memory and get away with any crime.
Yeah, right. So the only way I can kind of feel about it is that maybe we should make punishment less cruel. Like, okay, look, you did it. You don't remember that you did. Or you didn't do it, but you really think you did. Let's just, okay, the first example is better. You did it, but you don't remember that you did it. Or you did it, but you're actually a clone of the consciousness of the real bunch of matter that did it. I just think we still need to separate them from society, but make sure that they're happy.
Yeah.
Don't execute them or punish them, but just because we want everyone to be safe, we're going to put you guys on the clone planet.
Yeah, it was purely preventative.
It's just preventative, but we want it to remain like fair.
Yeah, I was thinking a second ago, we mentioned Peter Van Inwagen, who has this sort of weird and wacky view about life being unified. There's this sort of argument that derives from his work about consciousness and about the immateriality of consciousness. Because this view of mereology that you have, that there's not just real things that share, there's just stuff, and it's arranged chair-wise, and we put a label on it. There's no real distinction between chair and table, it's all just stuff we just arranged. Van Inwagen has this thought of like, well, okay, here's our first premise then. There are no real distinctions between material objects. There are no distinct material objects that exist. Premise 2, minds are distinct. My mind is distinct from your mind is distinct from my mind. Conclusion, if there are no distinction between material objects, but minds are distinct, then minds are not material.
Wait, why is there no distinction between material objects?
Because for this view of mereology, it's like, you don't actually have a chair and a table.
Yeah.
You've just got a bunch of atoms or fundamental stuff, as you like to put it, and we just sort of put a label on that, put a label on this.
Yeah.
It's just one big soup of stuff, right? That we just,
Well, yeah, but it's different stuff. The stuff here that you're sitting on is different than this stuff, and the properties they're exhibiting are different. Different colors, different hardnesses. Like, so I guess that would be my response. But it does sound like a pretty clever little funny way of going. Because I just proved that the mind is immaterial. With two little sentences.
Yeah, two relatively controversial sentences. But once you sort of got on that bandwagon, it becomes interesting. I think that's my part of this talk, because what you were saying earlier, sort of a weird view. I think there's this element to which we can look at, like, is that part of that? And is this one object or many objects? There is a sense in which we feel unified. There's a sense in which I feel like I'm a person. So there's an intuitive force saying that, well, life, like me, there is some real unity going on there.
Yes. And I think that you feel that way, and I feel that way about myself. Now, this is correct because it has an enormous survival advantage. I think the story of human evolution is, among many other things, the story of us becoming more and more sovereign and identified with something very specific. So even it's not just this is me and my body, but also my will. Like that thing that I just did I decide to do that or not? Does a cat
the stars which would the post above your powers of blazing verities, above your newest arcane crusades. An old maid stays cataloging charms in a chamber all glowed by Kundalini poles. He keeps the scraps that folks toss aside. He hums, he'll glow a signal one day. We glow of a relict radiance which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, a revelation. We glow of a relict radiance which hovers dimmer illuminations, a mistily shimmering light, revelation. As long comes a croon's gloomy lighter, the lights and wardens move hand in tether. Dusk veils settle on an aged skittering horde.
Ребят, я устал. Что неудивительно. Я, скорее всего, бодрствую 17 часов. Спать пора. 18 уже почти. Надо еще на боевой кубок будет успеть. А для этого надо выспаться.